nobody's perfect, right? Everybody has stuff in their past that they regret, people that they love that maybe they've hurt at some point. Um, what's the what's the best way in your being the next guest experience, to reconcile with that, especially in cases of, um, maybe an issue that wasn't able to be resolved with somebody, or something that you weren't able to make amends for, and you have to carry that with you. What's the even regardless of the severity, it's like, what do you do to sort of cope with something like that? How do you carry that, and how do you allow it to influence your behavior in a positive and productive way, as opposed to self-destructive?
I myself, actually last week celebrated 31 years without a drink or a drug. Now, you know, each to their own. I choose a certain way of staying sober, which includes, meetings. And I go to sober meetings. How I choose to deal with people, places, and things that are unresolved from the past is to first and foremost not do it again. Um, I have made a lot of amends in my life, to people who have no idea what I'm talking about. Quite frankly, a lot of the amends I've made have been, um, there's a difference between saying sorry and making amends. Sorry doesn't really hold much weight when you're someone like me that had a 15-year drug addiction and said sorry 5 times a day, every day for 15 years. Sorry really doesn't hold much weight. Making amends, it to me is asking what I can do to make it right. You know, what can I do to make this situation right? And sometimes you don't get the opportunity to do that face to face, or even over the phone, text, or email. You know, and so what happens if you've hurt someone in your past and they're now not with us anymore? There are ways of making amends that don't necessarily involve direct contact with people. Um, One is to be of service in an area that would have meant something to that person. So if you have hurt an ex-girlfriend or an ex-wife or whatever that is, maybe you donate some time to a women's shelter, something like that. There's always ways that you can make amends and try and change and correct your behavior without necessarily, you know, buying that person something. It's not about that. For me, I think it's about learning and changing as you grow. And I've been terrible at that in at times. I've made huge mistakes, but I'm a human being and I try and learn as I go.